I'm writing this post because I want to know whether I'm TA for holding onto a grudge against my sister, female, 26. Basically, my sister has always been on the wrong side of our parents by not listening to them or following house rules. And I've been there to support her and take care of her when my parents decided they'd had enough of her shit. I'm only 6 years older than her, but I moved out and got a well-paying job and even met the man of my dreams, G, male, 30. So I guess I had some stability in my life despite being pretty young. Around 8 years ago, when F was 16, my parents caught her smoking pot in her bedroom. That ended up being the last straw for them since they were pretty darn conservative about stuff like that. And it escalated into a massive fight, leading to F being kicked out of the house. I stepped in to make sure my little sister didn't end up homeless. I loved both her and my parents, and doing that definitely caused some friction between me, mom, and dad. But I couldn't bear to see F kicked out like that for something which I believed wasn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, she was just smoking a little pot, to be honest. So I told her that she could move in with me and G, and I'd also try and smooth things over with our parents. She was really happy to hear this, and things went great for a while. For a whole year, F was a great housemate to have. She respected G and my boundaries, did chores, and it was fun having my little sister around. However, after my husband and I had our child, H, male, 7, things began to get a little tough at home. While we were doing quite well financially, I had to travel often while G had to go abroad for an extended period on a research fellowship. Due to this unfortunate work situation, I would either have to bring H with me to work or hire a babysitter. F wasn't at home in the morning and afternoon due to her school, and in the evenings she would work at her part-time job. So it wasn't really on her to take care of her nephew. However, she later told me that she was planning on quitting her job to focus on her art career. She made money by selling commissions online and also used up all her savings to get some expensive gear. I was in support of her exploring her creative side and becoming independent, and I guess I also selfishly thought that her being at home might be a way to leave H at home safely. However, F was adamant that being at home didn't mean that she was messing around, and also claimed that she was too young to take care of H. I could kind of see her point of view, and since H was only a year old at the time, perhaps she couldn't take care of a little toddler. However, G wouldn't be permanently back in the States for a while, and I still needed someone to help out around the house, or at least take care of H for a few hours if it was ever needed. Since F was at home anyways, I thought it could work. But she said, "OP, I'm holed away in my room working on commissions. I don't even know how kids work. I can't be of any help." It definitely built up some resentment between me and my sister, and I felt like it was just her shirking her duties. She also became less empathetic towards me and often skimped out on housework. I was beginning to regret the freedom I had given to F by being more of a friend and less of an authority figure. However, while things were tense, F and I had our first major fight when I took a week off from work. I was feeling stressed and overburdened and collapsed in the middle of a meeting. The time off felt like a blessing in disguise as I could be with my baby at home. I did notice, though, while I was at home, F was barely doing any work, as she claimed. Most of the day she would either be on her phone or watching shows, and when I pushed her on it, turned out that she hadn't gotten a single commission in months. Now, I do get that freelancing is a tough job and maybe she was in a rut. But when I went to check her Fiverr page and her socials, there wasn't any work done on promoting her art or getting commissions. Her last post was months ago. I confronted her about this, and F went off about how the kid had been a distraction. And that made me feel pissed. First off, it's not like she was taking care of my son anyways, and secondly, that was an entitled thing to say to someone who's housed you when you had no place to go. I retorted back by saying, "Hey, you can't talk about H like that, and you need to understand that you're becoming an adult now. I'm not looking to parentify you, but I need you to pull your weight a little bit around here." That was the point of no return, it seems, and F said that she didn't feel like living with us anymore and moved out after a month or so. By this time, things were better between her and our parents, so they sent her money and she ended up going back to working minimum wage. After she moved out, F got pregnant and now has a kid, female one, and obviously is struggling a little with being a single parent in a small apartment. My parents were ecstatic to have another grandchild and worked out their differences with my sister. They take care of her baby a lot, but that honestly makes me resentful because they were never the same way with H. It's a lot of things crumpled together, but those reasons make me kind of hold out or make excuses to not babysit F's kid. And she recently called me out for it. My husband tells me I'm just being petty and it's time to move on, but I don't think F has ever understood how she was in the wrong during her time living with me. So, WIBTA if I refuse to babysit my niece? Update 1. I have read through some of your comments, and some of you guys need to chill out a little. First off, I'm not a terrible sister to F. I still support her and even help plan a baby shower for her so she could feel safe and comfortable as a new mother. Also, I'm not holding out on babysitting just because I'm petty. I do genuinely have too much stuff going on, and sometimes I need to take care of H too. Although G is back from his fellowship, he's still working hard and can't always be at home. It's just that I'm not necessarily going out of my way to make time to babysit my niece. However, I do think I need to talk to F after she called me out about not being able to babysit her child. I guess I need to express where this behavior is coming from and demand an apology from her. Only then do I think I would be able to move forward. Update 2. So I spoke to F and was ready to talk, and things went pretty well. I started by saying, "Sis, I do think it was a bit douchey of me to not want to spend time with your daughter. I mean, I am busy, but that's no reason to not build a bond with her. But I feel like you never tried to do the same thing with H, and that makes me a little angry. Do you think you could work on that? I promised to do the same." She was surprisingly understanding of the situation and agreed that during her stay at my house, she basically fell into a spiral and couldn't work or function properly. Instead of working her way out of it, her coping mechanism was to shut down and blame her living situation for the rut she was in. She regrets moving out hastily as she did and says that she was in a tough spot ever since then. However, her daughter has given new meaning to her life and she's trying to better herself for her kid. It hurts me that I missed out on this growth with my sister because of our fight, and I know that she's trying her best and is working towards improving. So I should be there for her too. F and I have reconciled and we're going to become a much more close-knit family. During all this time, our parents have been playing both sides, but I don't blame them. After they made up with F and took on the task of helping out with parenting, they also tried to keep themselves in my good books. I had a heart-to-heart with them about how I don't feel like they ever really involved themselves when my kid was born, and they reasoned that I was already well sorted, and F needed more help than I did. Both my sister and I thought this was a pretty damn stupid line of thought and told them the same. And it did get through that it was a pretty toxic thing to do. So my parents have also promised to become more equal as grandparents. Honestly, everything seems to have come together pretty well, and I'm happy that the family's no longer fragmented. I fully admit some of it was due to my stupidity, and I will be better from now on. Anyhow, our first step forward is going to be a play date between H and my sister's child, and we'll both take a day off to spend some quality time with them. Update 3. I'll keep this short, but oh my god, the play date was so fun. F and I worked well as a team. My husband was also chipping in, and the kids were super well behaved. It was straight out of a feel-good movie. I feel like there's mutual respect and understanding in the family now, and my sister and I will both work towards helping each other as new parents. YTA, your sister was right. She was too young. I do think it's valid to ask her to start doing more around the house or to show concern for her career, but you made it about your kid, which doesn't make any sense to me. I do think your sister was also kind of a douche, though. NTA, I think F capitalized on having a free place to stay and was coasting until you ended up calling her out. Yeah, she was young, but mature enough to help with the kid and also to at least have a proper dialogue with you if she felt like she couldn't do that. Next story. I, 17, female, will be celebrating my 18th birthday in a few weeks. In my culture, it's called a debut and is equivalent to quince or sweet 16. My mom, 43, female, didn't have a debut experience during her time, so she wants me to have a great one. She budgeted up to $60,000 for this event, booked the venue 11 months ago, and my initial dress fitting 9 months ago. Mom and Jay, 48, were both widowed and they had been married for 7 months. Jay has a son and 3 daughters with his first wife. They didn't move in together entirely after the wedding, but he would sleep at our place when my mom wasn't traveling. His youngest daughter, Mila, fake name, was also be turning 18 a few days before me. However, he didn't plan anything for her birthday. Over Christmas dinner, the topic of our birthdays came up, and my mom said that she doesn't have to worry about mine anymore because she planned it way in advance. Jay tried to get more info, but she chuckled and told him, I planned it way before we got married. She thought that was the end of it. But a few days later, my mom told me that he asked her if I and his daughter could share the day since our birthdays aren't that far apart. My mom said no, and that it will be inappropriate since our family and friends living abroad will be flying in just for the event, and she wanted the day to be all about me. She instead offered to help him and connect him to her events coordinator so he could start planning for his daughter's party within his budget, even on such short notice. But he refused and said he was not wasting money for such lavishness. My mom stood her ground and told him that her offer stood, but she would not change her mind on not sharing my day. Oh well. Step siblings came over yesterday to enjoy the amenities in our apartment building and for a barbecue when they saw the invitations and stationeries on the table as I was sorting them out when they arrived. Mom, Jay, and stepbro were already at the pool by this time. Mila broke down in tears and begged me to convince my mom to let her share my party with her, since we are basically sisters now. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm not the one making plans, nor is it my money being spent on it, so it's not up to me. Her older sisters backed her up, and they even suggested that I test my mom by telling her that I wouldn't show up to my party if I couldn't share it with Mila. So I told them that they obviously did not know my mom, and that she isn't the type to test. All 3 of them then berated me and called me a stupid and selfish brat for not understanding that family should share and that I was a coward, weakling, because I couldn't stand up to my mom. I was shocked. I just walked out and stayed away from the rest of them all day. I still feel shaken by this, and knowing my mom, she will bring hellfire on them even if it costs her her marriage if I tell her, so I don't know if I should tell her. AITA? Edit. For everyone asking, yes, this is a Filipino debut. Edit 2. Yesterday, me and Mom went to our family home outside the city as we do every Sunday. She and my dad designed it together, and it's where my dad's urn rests, in my mom's room. That was his wish. She's still attached to Dad and his memories until now. Jay is not allowed in that room that she stayed in the guest house with Jay and his kids when they came over for Christmas dinner. I guess this should have its own post. Anyway, after reading your comments last night, I decided to tell her and waited until after dinner to do it. I went to her room and told her that I just wanted to see Dad. I was standing in front of him when she asked me what I thought about having an all-girls bonding time with Mila and her sisters. Jay proposed it as a start to building our relationship. I remained quiet and tried to hold back my tears, and she noticed. She signaled for me to sit on the bed with her and asked me what was wrong. Not my proudest moment, but I hugged her, broke down in tears, and let everything out in between sobbing and sniffling. When I was done, she took a deep breath and hugged me even tighter. She said sorry if she ever made me feel like I couldn't talk to her, and sorry for putting me in that situation. She reassured me that no matter what, she will always be on my side even after I become an adult. She then told me not to worry about it anymore because she will take care of it in the morning. She said I will put them in their place, as she grabbed a bag of Doritos. We chilled the rest of the night, watched Netflix, and cuddled like when I was a little kid. This morning I woke up when I heard her yelling in the kitchen, repeatedly asking, "Did you put your daughters up to this?" She told him that his adult daughters have no right to verbally abuse me and try to manipulate me, and now they are no longer allowed to be anywhere near me, especially in our place. She saw me, so she ended the call by saying they will talk more at lunch. We are on the way back to the city now. She asked me if I remember what my dad would always tell me and my brothers, and I said, "Don't make Mama mad." And she replied, "No more secrets. I will tell you everything and expect you to do the same." Edit 3. Mom told me to come to her office at noon. When I got there, Jay and his daughters were there. Apparently, he brought them there to apologize to my mom. She asked them what they told me exactly at our house and demanded to say it again in front of her and their dad, but none of them wanted to speak, so she turned to me. I repeated everything they said to me. Mom shamed Amy, 23, female, and Carla, 22, female, for how they treated me and warned them that she could get them in trouble for verbally abusing and bullying a minor. She told them to apologize to me, which they did. Obviously forced and fake, but we didn't care. Jay went to our house tonight and he and Mom had a verbal altercation. He calls Mom unfair and overreacting. Mom tells him that although they agreed on not parenting each other's kids, that's why he spared Mila from her anger, but his adult daughters are no longer kids. He ended up leaving with his suitcase. NTA. Essentially, he didn't plan anything and expects your mom to fund her birthday by making you share it. His kids are no better because of how they reacted. See, he is an entitled parent raising entitled children, and the thought process for them is now they are married, what's yours and your mom's is theirs. I would tell your mom what happened because she needs to divorce him. Yes, I know that a $60,000 party does sound ridiculous and too lavish. I'm the eldest granddaughter on my maternal side of the family and the only granddaughter on my paternal side. Both sides of grandparents pitched in a combined total of $30,000, and my godfather, my dad's best friend, gave $10,000. Most of the people on the 500 guest list are my mom's guests from her work and business. Others are family, friends, and relatives from 2 countries, and less than 100 are actually my invites. This is also a 2-parts party with the cotillion ball and formal dinner for the first part and rave party for the rest of the night. Next story. I, 44, female, married my husband, 47, male, nearly 12 years ago and gained an amazing 5-year-old bonus daughter, Mary. Mary's mom died of cervical ovarian cancer when Mary was barely a year old. They didn't catch it until she was halfway into her pregnancy, and by then she didn't want to risk losing her baby by chemo, so she put off treatment until after birth, but by then they could only buy her time. Obviously, this was very traumatic for my husband, and Mary has been in therapy since before I knew her to help with that loss as well. Mary is now almost 17 and we're really close. I never officially adopted her, though I offered, but I never needed a piece of paper to tell me I loved her if she did come from me. We see musicals, take art classes, go shopping, out for coffee, to get our nails done, go hiking, etc. together because we genuinely enjoy hanging out. She's the best and only kid I'll ever have. 2-ish weeks ago, Mary and I were at the nail salon when she nervously asked me to help her make an appointment with an OBGYN. Mary is almost never nervous. She told me immediately after she had her first kiss. So it piqued my interest, but I said of course I would, and asked if she had any specific issues or concerns. She has been dating a boy for about 7.5 months, so I thought maybe she wanted birth control. But she explained how she'd found and looked through some of her mom's hospital medical records, and it scared her enough that she wanted to get screened as soon as possible for cervical, ovarian, uterine cancer. She also asked that I not tell her dad right away because she didn't want to drag up any negative feelings. She wanted to tell him herself after she'd been seen. I took this as Mary wanting to be more independent and autonomous, so I acquiesced, made the appointment, and left it at that. This past week was her appointment, and at her request, I accompanied her to the office but waited in the car. Afterwards, she had a business card for a genetic counselor that the doctor recommended and was talking about possibly wanting to get a genetic screening to find out her cancer risk. When we got home, she went to find my husband in his study and they were in there for a while talking. When they came out, Mary gave him a big hug and then my husband asked me if we could speak in private. Once we were alone, he was so pissed off at me for not telling him about the appointment and keeping it a secret. I tried to explain that Mary had asked me to and wanted to tell him herself, so I was just respecting her wishes, but that wasn't a good enough excuse. To him, she's still his child, and all doctor's appointments need to be run by him beforehand and not after it's been had. I apologized, but he just said that now he doesn't know what other secrets you girls are hiding from him, and has been sleeping on the couch in his office the past couple of nights. AITA for not telling him right away? NTA, while I understand the husband's concern, his daughter is at an age when she can make informed decisions about who to ask for help or not. It's good that Mary takes her health seriously enough to do that and be proactive in case anything happens. NTA, certain problems are easier to talk about with a parent of the same gender, even if it is a step-parent. Does he really think if he had a stepson, he'd want to go to his mom about a sex-related medical problem? And you've been a mother for her for 12 years. Also, he needs to get over it because the next time Mary has something like this, she might not tell either of you. She won't tell her dad because she's naturally uncomfortable, and she won't tell you because she doesn't want to piss him off. And the consequences of that could be way worse. And come on. Of course the stepmother and her stepdaughter have some secrets the dad doesn't know about. NTA, Mary is 17 and it's more than reasonable for a young woman to want to have conversations about womanhood with the elder woman she's closest with in her family. I can totally relate to Mary. Dad will hopefully come around and be thankful you have been a woman she can trust in her life. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.